We're back! Season 4 of Unscripted, the Nudgee College podcast. I'm your host, Wes Denning, and in this series, we're going to explore 135 years of history that has helped shape what Nudgee has become today. We've got a brand new set, brand new stories, but still all Nudgee. Welcome to Unscripted, a 135-year celebration. Let's get it on. All right, I am so incredibly excited about this podcast. Dr. Stephen Daley was not only the College Captain and Dux in 1994, but is the college's most recent Rhodes Scholar. After graduating, he went on to study veterinary science at the University of Queensland, then completed his Doctorate in Philosophy and immunology at England's Oxford University. Not only is Stephen an incredible inspiration to our academic community, he also played first 11 cricket and first 15 rugby whilst at Nudgee. Incredible. I just cannot wait to get into it. All right, Stephen, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here, especially given the setting that we're in. We're in the Nudgee Museum right now. And just to my left, your right, is your blazer that's hanging up here in the Nudgee Museum, which is fitting because, you know, not just to make you feel good, but you really are one of the most successful Nudgee old boys of all time. How does it feel to have your blazer here on display?
Well, it's great to be here. Thank you, Wes. It's great to be invited. I really appreciate it. And that blazer, it is an honour to have that there too. And there's a story behind that. It goes back to John Sayre, who looks after this museum and who was a teacher when I was here. And another man by the name of James Delahunty, who is a passionate Nudgee old boy and supporter.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happens that I've got a family connection with James Delahunty because his son is my brother-in-law. We married, the two ladies we married are sisters. And so I had a family connection with
Which
James. So Brendan.
Yeah, well, I know Brendan was in my year at school. He was 2000,
yeah.
And one of the absolute legends. He's in the museum as well for undefeated first 15 Nudgee 2000.
Right. Yeah.
Great man.
Yes, indeed, he surely is. And between John and James, they had a conversation about what to put in the museum, and I think my name came up, and you know, I'm very happy to have it there, and that was very nice. And actually, there's one more story about the blazer, which goes back towards the latter half of my senior year, and my friend Matt Rudolph, who was in my class.
Related to Bart Rudolph?
Yes, Bart's elder brother. Noticed that there were some potential lines missing on my blazer, and he filled out the form and took it to the principal's office where Maggie Shaw was the secretary, and then he did a whip around the senior dormitory and got some money together and then stole my blazer and took it off to have it embroidered, those extra lines. So it really meant a lot for Matt and my classmates to do that for me. I still remember it, obviously. So
amazing.
It was great. Yeah.
And for those listening who are trying to understand what you mean by that, is it because there was a cost associated with it adding the extra lines to the blazer that they covered the cost of?
Yeah, they had. Yeah, they did that, and it wasn't because I wouldn't have been able to pay for it, but I just hadn't. I'd been too slack to do it myself, and Matt took matters into his own hands, and the other guys did too, and so that was amazing of them. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's obviously this is a podcast, so for those who are listening, you can't see the blazer, but it reads like a novel. It's one of the longest pockets I've ever seen on a blazer, and I was going to talk about this later, but now that we're here, why not go there? So that's in terms of some of the things that you did while you were here at the school. You were first 15.
That's right, yeah.
First 11.
Yep.
First
5.
Yes. Which is basketball. Phenomenal. So there's 3 firsts that you're in already. You were the college captain and you were the college Dux.
Yep, that's right.
And I'm missing a few things there, but how did you fit it all in? Like, and you know, obviously a lot of students do many things while they're here at the campus, but what was your experience like when you were juggling captaincy, obviously academia, which we'll talk about later as well, also your sporting, interests? How did you juggle all those different balls?
Yeah, well, maybe the first thing to say is it was so long ago that maybe the time commitment of being in those teams was not as great as it is today. but nevertheless, it was competitive and an honour to be in them. I think I was a good listener, and that helped me because I could follow instructions, and I also tried my best too. And so, if you can follow instructions and try hard, those are good ingredients for a coach to look for in a team. And so I think I got my way into teams by doing those things. On the school side, on the schoolwork side, I think again it was I'm a pretty good listener, and I also expected to get good marks, and so I kind of had a feel for what would be needed to do to get good marks.
Yep.
And so I was pretty consistent. I just sort of plugged away, and I wasn't much of a time waster, I suppose. And if I didn't understand something in class, I would keep gnawing away at it until I understood it. And so there's a saying in cricket where you can let things go to the keeper. And I made it a business of myself to make sure, at least in the classroom, that I didn't let anything go to the keeper, because those things that you don't quite understand are often the things that will pop back up at exam time.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I think it feels like I had a pretty simple method of attack to my time at school. Yeah.
I love it. And I can relate to that as well. Like you said, listen, and you would try hard. And I was the same. I was a swimmer, right? So I would always train extremely hard. I worked hard in training. I'd listen to my coach. But even more so, I remember in the classroom, I was one who was always juggling a lot of things. So when I was in class, I actually listened hard because I wanted to get good marks, good grades.
Yes.
And I knew that by the time I get to my homework, if I haven't listened in the class, that homework's going to be so much harder.
Yes.
So if I studied in class and listened and was attentive, then all of a sudden when you get to the homework, you're like, oh yeah, I get this. We just learned it today.
Yes.
And then when you start to understand the cadence of how exams typically work, you're like, okay, I've got a pretty good idea what's going to pop up in the exams. And if I listen in the class, it's going to help the homework, which will save me from cramming, at the end of the term.
Yeah.
So I had the same sort of mentality, whereas like wherever I was hyper-focused and tried not to be distracted on outside noise.
Yeah.
But if I was in the classroom, I'd be like, okay, let's make the use of this next 45 minutes so that I'm not catching up, in a few weeks' time.
100%. I think that's a good philosophy to stick by while you're there. There's no better sort of, you've got no better choice and no better option available to you. So you might as well.
And I still can't multitask to this day. So I know for me, hyper-focus on where I am right there and then is the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
What was your time like at school? How did you find Nudgee in the 90s? And obviously you finished in 94, but what was your experience like?
Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind is that it was a friendly place here. And often, I don't know if we still use this around the place, but there was a lot of talk about the Nudgee family. And it was a popular refrain during assemblies. The spirit, we also talked about Nudgee spirit a lot. And so it felt pretty all-consuming here. Once you were here, you didn't really need to have outside influences or distractions too much. That was good for a teenager because it just cut down all on the noise. The obvious comparison to make is that because we didn't have any mobile phones, we didn't have that connectivity that kids have got today.
Yep.
So that's probably the single biggest difference, I think. And we were sort of in a bit of a cocoon here.
Yeah. What an interesting time to think of pre-phones. I remember I was boarding in the year 2000 in my final year, and I got a mobile phone from my family, and I was like, I didn't want it. I was like, what do I want a phone for? I don't want a phone. I don't want to be, no. And of course now I can't live without one.
Yeah.
But the idea of back then being here at school without a phone seems like such a wonderful opportunity to not have that distraction in our pocket, all day and all night.
Yeah. You had to queue to use the one public phone actually per dorm. So,
Now no one knows how to use a public phone.
That's right.
But what you're saying is interesting because I've heard this come up a couple of times is this idea of talking about the Nudgee family. And you finished only 6 years, I suppose, before I finished here. And we didn't use that term a lot. We talked a lot about the Nudgee spirit. And I feel like there was an inflection point somewhere in the mid-90s where the size of the school grew significantly, from, I'm not sure how many were in 1994, but 1,500 students when I was here.
It was much lower. It was about 1,100, I think.
Yeah. And that's an interesting change in a small period of time. And we talked a lot about the Nudgee spirit and what that meant, and obviously what it meant to be a Nudgee man and those sorts of things. So while some of that terminology and phrasing has changed slightly, I'm sure there's a lot of similarities in sort of the meaning and the ethos behind it. So let's go back a step. Young child yourself, you grew up in the country, but you were one of 7 or 9. How many in your family?
Yeah, 8 kids. 8 kids.
8 kids.
Yeah, so I was the 7th.
Okay.
And we grew up on a dairy farm near Miller, which is on the Atherton Tablelands near Cairns. And my dad's family had been dairy farmers for generations. And my mum's dad had a sawmill in a nearby town called Ravenshoe. And obviously large family. There was a bit of a gap between me and my older siblings. So mum and dad obviously raised me, but the other siblings played a bit of a role too because they were old enough to drive me around by the time I needed karting to under 10s rugby league, for example.
Yep.
And so I suppose I was being almost the youngest. I felt like I had to catch up a bit with my older siblings. I always kind of looked up to them. We had a very happy childhood. Like we had a cricket net down the back that was between the house and the dairy.
Yep.
And the lawn was big enough to kick a footy as well. And
so 8 kids, cricket nets, rugby league. It sounds like you're quite a sporty, active kind of family, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Sport was a big thing for us. The local paper would have reports about the local sport, and it was a big thing to get your your brother's photo in the paper. And even I can remember Mum and Dad bought me a 5-iron golf club, and I could whack that between the house and the dairy, and then I put a golf ball through the window at the dairy, and from then on, Dad thought he better get me some more clubs so that I could to shorten me up a bit. But it was a very happy childhood there.
And I will talk about academia and your studies in a moment. But what about as a young child in your family household that obviously was very active and a lot of kids?
Yeah.
Was study and reading and academics important, or did your parents instill that sort of element into your day-to-day life?
Good question. To be honest, not so much. Mum was always doing crosswords, and she loved reading as well. She would have read hundreds of books. Dad, not so much. He was busy on the farm, and my brothers and sisters, they were all capable. But I think when I like I say, there's one other example. Mum used to write a poem for the show, the local show. They had, they would exhibit cattle there.
Yes.
And so Mum's creative side would come out, and she would write on the night of the judging, she would write a poem, and that would be read the next day at the gala dinner. And so that was pretty cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
Have you still got the poems somewhere?
I hope they're there somewhere, surely. Yeah. Mum never throws anything away, so I'm sure
they're
they'll
probably
be
still
somewhere.
there.
Yeah.
And so how did you end up from up north to being a student here at Nudgee?
Yeah, well, I knew before I went to primary school actually that I was coming to Nudgee because I'm a 4th generation Nudgee student.
Amazing.
Yeah, my great grandfather came here in 1910.
Wow.
Yeah, and all the generations in between. My brothers, 15 years and 11 years older than I am, would tell me about Nudgee.
Yep.
Even before I went to school.
So you almost had this image in your mind, this folklore of this place.
Yes.
In Brisbane.
Yes.
That you'd be going to.
That's right. I had a picture of it Yes, as far back as I can remember.
You were in blue and white striped diapers for all you knew.
Might as well have been. They would tell me that there's sport every weekend, 3 trainings during the week, every week, and that was sort of my rite of passage.
Yeah. And when you came here, you did your first year, from my understanding, as a day student, and then you moved into boarding. So what was the catalyst for that move to become a boarder?
Yes. So at the time, you're right, I was a day boy here for the first year. My mum and little sister and I lived just across the road for 2 years, actually. And we moved down here because my dad had passed away, and mum wanted to give my older brothers a chance to run the farms, the 2 dairy farms beside each other. And so we did that, and then towards the end of that first year here at Nudgee, Mum decided to move back up north because I think she thought I needed to branch out a bit. I would spend a bit too much time with her and my little sister, and not enough time out with my mates. And so she, in her wisdom, and she thought now's the right time to push him out of the nest, so to speak, and I became a boarder from then on, and Mum went back up north with my little sister.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Yeah.
And what was boarding like at that time in the early 90s for you? How was that experience?
Yeah. Look, there was some rough days early on because that was the first time I'd been away from home, and I think for better or worse back then there was a bit of a dividing line between the day boys and the boarders, and so it wasn't an instant sort of assimilation into the boarding house.
Yep.
But within the space of maybe a term or half a term or so, it became much easier. I think I made a nice few cool friends, and that got me going. Yeah.
I just last year walked through the new boarding dormitories.
Yes.
And they look absolutely sensational.
Yes.
Like I only did 3 years as a boarder here for 10, 11 and 12.
Yes.
And it was amazing, and I had great friends, and I loved the experience. But when I've seen the new dormitories that the guys are living in, they're fantastic. It's like stepping into a 5-star resort. I'm sure it wasn't quite the same for you in the early 90s.
I can remember the lines of beds that were in this room.
God, you make it sound like a prison. Lines of beds?
Yeah,
My goodness.
That's what it was like. Yeah.
Now, in 1994, you were college captain.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you always wanted or had hoped to be in that sort of position in your senior year?
Yeah, good one. I think it had crossed my mind a bit coming through the years, but I can't remember it being a hugely motivating thing for me. I was, like I said before, I was a bit, I was fixated on my marks and doing what I could on the sporting field. I was a bit scared of public speaking, and so I knew that being a college captain would require some of that, and so I wouldn't say that I was craving it, no, but by the time it came along, I was stoked to have that role.
Amazing. So like we said, college Ducks, first 11 cricket, first 5 basketball, first 15 rugby. Before we get on to your academic success, any other sporting memories that come to mind from all those amazing teams that you were part of? In fact, on your blazer, I even saw golf club. So you did everything while you were here.
Yeah.
Is there a team that sort of stands out for any reason?
Yeah, there is actually, and 2 if I can. One, so both in the senior year, we had the cricket first up, and our team struggled early doors, and I think I can't remember the exact position, but we might have been 7th after 4 rounds, I think, and that team just had a way of finding a way to succeed, and over the next 4 or 5 weeks, we had very strong victories, including an outright against Churchie here. And the point system back then allowed us to get over the line. We won the premiership that year.
Really?
Yeah.
God, I can't imagine how that works these days, that you could be so far behind and make your way back up.
Yeah, because we had 1 loss, and Yeah, and there were games that were rain affected,
Yep.
and we were very well coached by Bill Ahern,
Yes.
and Dave White and Pete Davis, and and they were perfect for us because they didn't put too much pressure on us. I think there's enough pressure on young men playing cricket, especially because it's such a sort of finicky game,
Yep.
and you can sometimes get trapped inside your own tentativeness, and they had a really good way of setting us at ease, and as a team we just really gelled, and that was a great memory. And that same team went on later in the year to win the it was called the Gillette Cup, which is a national cricket comp.
That's right, there. That's right. It was a good team effort, brother.
We went down to Canberra after
Wow. Okay.
after schoolies, actually, which is unlike the 91 team, who I think only a couple came back after schoolies. Our entire team came back.
Amazing.
And we all had a great trip down to Canberra. So that's a special memory. And then also the rugby from that same year. We'd had a strong team through the ages. I think we might have won a couple of premierships and maybe second for another couple through the years. And then we had the addition of a certain guy called Elton Flatley, who who was our captain. He'd already been in the first for some time.
So he would have been in grade 11 in 94,
Yes,
I assume.
That's correct.
And he was the captain of the team?
Yeah. He was captain, and we also had some Stewie Carlton-Smith, who had been outside our age group but came but in our year, and so he came into the team as well. And so we knew we were going to be competitive. We had Tom Barker and Mark Stevenson, who were a bit like those cricket coaches, who were just had a very calm manner about them, and kept us made sure that we just had to control the things that we could control, and so they were very wise coaches, and that team went through undefeated too.
Wow.
Yeah. When I say two, not two, because the cricket didn't go undefeated, but yeah.
But they won the premiership.
But yeah.
And then you went undefeated in rugby.
Correct.
What a dream.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah, those were a great way to start the year, those 2 seasons.
So we talked about in the classroom and on the sporting field about listening and about trying hard. Let's go into the classroom now. How do you feel like your teachers here at Nudgee set you up for success in terms of learning and applying that to your work?
Yeah, wow. I mentioned before that friendly is the first word that comes to mind when I'm asked about what Nudgee was like, and that definitely extended to the teachers here. I remember them being friendly. Cam Wilkins immediately comes to mind as someone who wanted to get to know me outside the classroom. But inside the classroom, I think that, as you would expect from a good school like this, everything was organised and succinct and on point. That they were good at what they did, and I think another person I would single out would be John Kennedy, who was the deputy principal at the time, and he was our English teacher in Year 12, and he was just like an English gentleman. He dressed and spoke like an English gentleman, and you could see that he was really excited about teaching us Macbeth and Wuthering Heights, and
love that.
And I think if you want your students to enjoy it, you need to enjoy it yourself, and so he definitely instilled an enjoyment of those great pieces in us. I also had lots of other great teachers. I had Brad Tacey and Brian Hobson and Alan Voss. They were all very friendly. Alan Voss at times was a bit fearsome as well.
I think he was here when I was here as well.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks for those shout outs. I'm sure there's a lot of people that listen that are from our generation and our year
Nice.
from the school, and everyone knows those names and they're synonymous with that era. So I hope people listening.
To people who I've left out. There's plenty there.
So after school, you went and studied veterinary science at the University of Queensland. Is that a route that you always wanted to go down, or how did you find yourself in that field?
Yeah, so when I started veterinary science, my plan was to go back and work as a vet where I grew up.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, right.
Yes, that was plan A. And I really enjoyed my time at vet school, and I even practiced as a vet for a couple of years. And I loved it, to be honest. Being in practice was great. But I did transition, as you know, and I think I can track that back to my 21st birthday when I got a book from one of my lecturers, Professor Trevor Heath at UQ, and it was a biography of Howard Florey, who was the Australian who developed penicillin, and in Oxford, and that got me thinking about medical research.
Yes,
and then I think the next big event was in the final year of my vet school. I went to Cornell University in New York State.
Awesome.
For a research internship, and that was that. I think that sealed the deal, so to speak. I really knew that I wanted to give research a go.
Yeah.
Then,
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's like, it's so outside of the world of what I do that I'm like, the way that you're like, that's what I want to do. I want to, research. I want to do medical research. Is I don't know how you do it, but B, thank you for doing it. We thank you. And then my understanding is then you are one of only 8 Nudgee old boys who've attained a Rhodes Scholarship. Can you explain to everyone what a Rhodes Scholarship is, firstly, and then let's talk about what you did with that scholarship?
Yeah, sure. So Rhodes Scholarships are 2 to 3 year scholarships where there's a fully paid scholarship to attend Oxford University, as well as a stipend. That they call it a stipend. So it's money that you receive while you're there to cover living expenses, and they come from the will of Cecil Rhodes, who is a controversial figure, an Englishman who was sometimes a somewhat brutal colonizer of southern Africa, but the wealth that he amassed was set aside for this scholarship, and the vision of his was to use Oxford as a hub to bring people from the Commonwealth and America together in one place.
Okay.
And he saw Oxford as the pinnacle of education and learning. And so his vision was to create a scholarship to basically better the lot of humankind by bringing
everyone together,
bringing young people,
bright minds,
right, together, and then in an ideal world for them to go back to their original countries, and with the benefit of an Oxford education behind them to better the lot of wherever they came from.
Yep.
So that's the vision. Yeah.
And did you do the application here in Queensland while you were at university? And then how did you find out that you got it?
Right.
Was it like a letter in the mail comes and you sit around with your friends and you go, hey, or how do you find out that you get the Rhodes Scholarship?
So it's typically a scholarship that you apply for towards the end or even after you've graduated from your university degree these days. And that was the case for me. So I'd just graduated, and I was actually working at Grafton Veterinary Clinic, and I didn't have a computer back then, and I did have to do an application. And so I remember going back into the clinic, up into the upstairs office, and using the boss's computer to type up my application.
Yeah.
And And I remember, so there's another thing that you have to do, which is to sort of foreshadow what you want to do at Oxford in the application. And so during that time, I was also pretty active looking up what to do at Oxford or what to say I want to do. And so that was a very exciting time because...
That's a tricky one because you want to say something that sounds like you know what you want to do but also aligns with what Oxford already does.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And that was really when the idea to do immunology came along, was in the upstairs from the vet clinic there. So thinking back on it now.
And when you found out, was it a letter that arrived in the mail?
Right. Well,
or was it an email?
After the application goes in, there's a shortlisting process and then an interview, and so it was after the interview that the successful candidates are announced, and that was very heady times, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
And it's something that, students can still apply for today, right? It's still an active bursary or scholarship. And you'd recommend it if people are listening and they're like, hey, that's something I'd like to, you'd recommend it?
Oh, of course. Yeah. I'd highly recommend it. I worry that lots of people would hesitate to nominate themselves because it is a self-nominated thing. But it's actually, even if your application is unsuccessful, it's actually a very clarifying experience to have, is to in your young adulthood, is to write down what matters to you, in your application, because that's what the application calls for. What matters to you and what do you want to do with your life? And so
there's some big questions when you're, early 20s.
Yeah.
Let alone at high school. Yeah,
that's right. So result aside, the process of doing it is useful.
And it's a few moons back now, but how was your experience at Oxford? And what did you learn? What are those big takeaways from spending some time studying at Oxford University?
Yeah. So, well, first and foremost, I was there to do a PhD. And for those who may not be familiar, you could say that in a PhD, you pick a topic, you find out everything there is to know about that topic, and then you've got to add something to it, and then write about it and write authoritatively and convince someone that you have actually added something to this field. And so I was learning how to do that for my 3.5 years there. That was what I was doing inside the lab, and it's like an apprenticeship for a researcher, and it was a very, very steep learning curve for me because I was previously, a vet, and instead of getting the drug out of a bottle and injecting it into a patient or an animal, I had to make the drug myself to start with, and even to learn how to make the things that I was injecting into the mice. It took months and months to learn how to do that, and so this is with reference to the other comment I made about letting things go to the keeper. This was the first time in my life where a lot of things were getting through to the keeper when I started to do my PhD.
Yeah. Well, so you got to draw back on listen and try hard. And then keep trying hard.
That's right. And I wasn't understanding a lot about what was being said and at the seminars that I would go to, for example. And so eventually I decided, well, I've got to get something out of these seminars. And so instead of trying to understand the science, I would just take notice of the machines, the technologies that they were using, and then I would go off and research what those machines did.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, okay. And so I was just trying to break the problems down one bit by bit, and I think it took me, maybe 6 to 9 months before I really started to understand what people were talking about. So it's embarrassing to say now, but it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's life though, right? You can go into something with some preconceived notion as to how you'll do in it, and then find out that it's, you know, it's mainly be 5 degrees different to what you expected it to be, but it's a totally different language.
Yeah.
And then you've got to problem solve, okay, how do I navigate through this, or do I need to pivot?
Yeah.
And it sounds like you found a really fine pivot. It was like, okay, if I don't have to, if it's building the drug is the challenge, you were able to apply your learnings and curiosity into the machines that were being used in the practice. That's fascinating.
So,
now, on a lighter note, you said earlier that you had cricket pitches in your backyard, a cricket pitch in your backyard at school. I have a note here that you got to play at Lords in cricket while you were there? Like as in like just with a bunch of mates, or was it actually in a game? Or how did you play at Lords?
Yeah, that's right. So Oxford and Cambridge have...
Oh, did you play for Oxford?
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. So
wow.
they have this annual game there.
Stop it.
Yeah, it's one day there.
I'm dying. Yeah. That would be unbelievable. So you were representing Oxford against Cambridge in a one-day match?
It was a one day, yeah.
Ooh.
That's right.
Who won?
Oxford.
Hey!
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's like the Nudgee Gregory Terrace of our universities.
Spot on.
You know, in the UK. So
in the 03 year, I was just telling Cooper that there was a terrace.
Oh, we don't talk about Cooper on the podcast because he doesn't exist. For those wondering, he's the producer of the show that does all the real hard work.
There was a terrace boy called Dan McGrath who was in the Cambridge team.
Fantastic.
Yeah, in the 2000.
That you knew from here?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah, we had played against each other during school days, and so All Lords was of course a lifetime. That was a lifetime dream to play there, and incredible. Yeah.
So since then, you've dedicated your life to medical research. Thank you. It's one of those fields that blows my mind. I don't know how you do it, but I'm ever so grateful because of all the times I've relied on medication or treatment or services. You know, it's something as a layman. I don't know how you do it, but like, thank goodness you do, because you help so many people day in, day out. You know, and everyone has their own personal experiences or family experiences. So, you know, the work you do is amazing. In terms of the research you're doing, what's Stephen Daley up to right now?
Yeah. Well, I've got a small startup company called Thoden Bio, and this has been formed just over a year ago now, and I've got the support of a husband and wife investor team, and actually I got to know Shelley, who's the wife in this investor team, when we were living in Oxford. I've known her ever since, and I've gotten to know Robin over the last couple of years, and our goal with Thoden is to make new treatments for autoimmune diseases. We hope that they're going to be long-lived, lifetime treatments that can be administered just once, and then because they're stem cell based, these stem cells can go on multiplying and provide the body with immune cells that protect the organ that's under attack in autoimmune disease. And so, that's what we're working on. And at the moment, we're still confined to mouse models of disease. But these days, the ability to change the genetic composition of mice so that they more effectively mimic humans is pretty remarkable. Mm-hmm. So we're doing that, and we've got a slim but not zero chance of succeeding. So it's very, very exciting to be doing that.
Oh, that's daunting, isn't it? To go into such a big pursuit, knowing you've got a slim chance of succeeding. Yeah, that's brave. It really is, and it's going to take some grit and try hard, then try harder. I really hope that Nudgee is such a wonderful school with amazing academic support, and I really hope that there's students who are listening to this podcast hearing what you're doing, Stephen, and they have the audacity to dream that they could be doing medical research and they could help you potentially in their studies in the future to solve some of the things that you're trying to solve today that might still need tomorrow to get there. So, I kind of think it's inspirational that you've come through this place, that you've applied yourself in the field of medical science and medical study and research, that other people listening hopefully are inspired to do the same.
Yes, I hope so too. Wes. The successes in science are hard won, and so I don't want to make it sound like it's a bed of roses. It's not. It's a tough occupation actually, and So there's just that caveat about pursuing a medical research, well, any sort of research career is that I suppose some wise advice might be to get some strong qualifications behind you before putting all your eggs in that basket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, interesting. The other theme that's come up, I think, in our conversation today, well, there's two, right, is, this idea of try hard, listen, try hard, because you still do it today.
Yep.
You bash your head against that wall every day trying to make breakthroughs. And the other theme that's come through is family.
Yeah.
Because, you've spoken about your family in Northern Queensland. You're one of 8 boys. Your family here at Nudgee, you used to talk about the Nudgee family, your Oxford family of friends.
Yeah.
And even in the work you do today, that family still has connections to Oxford, your professional career. So it seems wherever you've traveled in your life, you've always had these really organic families surrounding you that have helped you to succeed.
No doubt about that. That's so apt, Wes. I think it would be, I need to say that, I want to say that I've been going through this whole journey with my wife, Marge. We just got married at the start of our Oxford journey, and so she got to share that whole time with me and shared the making of all those new memories and friends that we made over there, and a lot of travel as well while we were living over there, and so you're absolutely right to bring it back to that. Then that's that inner circle is where you get your, that's what you need, that to be able to keep going.
All right, now if you could give one piece of advice to a prospective family that's considering Nudgee College, for their son's future, what would that piece of advice be?
Well, I would say that if you send your boy to Nudgee, he'll meet his tribe here. I just finished talking about inner circle, and so there'll be some people here who become his inner circle. Beyond that too, your boy will be he'll be exposed to quite a bit of a variety in this place in terms of all people from all walks of life. And what's really, I think, promoted here at Nudgee is there's an expectation of respect for each other and for the teachers and for the institution, for the name of this place. And so I think that's a very healthy thing to instill in a young
I agree.
man.
For a young man.
Yeah. So I think if you want a young man to grow up with that inner circle and a sense of the value of respect, then this is a good choice. Yeah.
Well, Stephen, I throw around the word legend loosely, but you truly are a Nudgee legend. One of only 8 Rhodes Scholars to come out of the school. Congratulations on all your success. It's been amazing to hear some snippets of your story, from home, from Nudgee, and then in your professional career. So thank you very much for sitting down with us today.
It's been so fun. I really loved it. Thanks for the invitation.
What a treat to sit down with such a down-to-earth, inspiring leader. And Stephen is an incredibly impressive human and a high achiever, yet humble and also generous to his core. Well, we hope you're enjoying the series of the podcast. Next up is a trailblazer in Australian Women's Rugby League. She's represented both the Queensland Maroons and Australia in her playing career and has held numerous roles in sports administration. One of Nudgee's favourites is coming up. It's Joanne Barrett.
So I loved rugby league, lived for the state of origin, had a real love for the game, played it in the backyard, wanted to play it as a little girl, wasn't allowed and didn't have opportunity. There was no such thing as pathways for women.